Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Career Retrospectives with my good man Kyle. Wait, no, Kyle's not here. We got Mike tonight. What's going on, Mike?
Hey, what's going on? Hey, I'm trying to fill Kyle's shoes. I think it's like an 8.5. He wears like a slender, medium maybe. But yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
We got this. So Kyle is taking the night off. He's on a vacation. He's on a getaway. He had to abandon us, whatever. But it's all good because tonight we're gonna be talking about Mike's pick. Mike's pick was Amophis. I'm gonna butcher the name. Amophis Skyforger.
Yeah.
And this was a brand new one for me, but I'm excited to talk about it. So Mike, why don't you start us off? You said before we started the stream tonight, you're a big fan of the band, big fan of the album. What's your overall impressions? What do you got going on?
So Amophis has kind of gone through a big change from their beginning to where they are now. And they kind of had to return to their original form with the most recent albums, the last two albums, but they really started off completely different singer, no clean vocals. If they did, the clean vocals were very strange. Let's just put it that way. And they're from Finland, so they have they're very rooted in the Finnish folklore. A lot of their lyrics are about the folklore, and the melodies in it are almost folk influence, but with like all kinds of progressive rock like overtones, almost like Black Sabbath, kind of like Deep Purple kind of stuff going on. So like flash forward, 3, 4, or 5 albums, they changed vocalist to the guy who's with them now. I think his name is I honestly, knowing their names, it's like it's all Finnish, so it's like trying to learn the Finnish language, but it's like Jenny Jensen or something like that. But he is amazing, and he took over the scene with I think it was the Eclipse album, which I kind of jumped on with them, and then I've been a humongous fan ever since. And this album actually won I think it was like a Metal Hammer Award or like best album of like the year for like the underground kind of metal magazine. I think it was either Metal Hammer or it was one of those magazines. And yeah, it's just a huge melding of different styles, different things going on. It really carries with it a lot of different movements in the different songs. It goes into a lot of different directions and kind of returns back to a lot of soaring melodies. And yeah, it's just one of those albums that to me is on the top of their discography, with a couple other albums that they put out.
Awesome. Because full disclosure, buddy, this is my first exposure to them. Don't kill me. But
no, I said, if someone has to be the villain, someone has to be the villain in all reviews. Someone has to be the person who, or it could be a complete agreement. You never know how everything turns out, but there's not everyone dances to the same beat. Not everyone loves the same stuff, which I love that about why we could have all three of us on. But just with the two of us, it's like there's less of that three dynamic. But yeah, like absolutely, I love to expose someone to a new sound. It definitely challenges the listener at times, with some of the vocals. This is probably one of the first reviews we've all done, or we've done, that have had the kind of vocals it has in it. So it's a little bit of a different ball game to the previous reviews.
It's all good. I mean, but I gotta say, I really dug. I mean, we're gonna get into all this stuff in a little bit, but I gotta tell you, first and foremost, this was quite the listen for me.
Right. Yeah.
It was different from what I normally listen to, for sure. But it was like, wow, this is something I could definitely get into for sure, though.
Absolutely. So. Yeah. Cool. I mean, I'm glad to hear that, because I was wondering how it would translate with you. And it's definitely a very, it's out of all their albums they've ever put out, it's the album that I feel they specifically designed melodically and chorus wise and like song structure wise, that really is easy to digest to the listener who's not used to the different sounds that they've kind of gone through and weave together. I think it's the easiest to digest. And I'll be honest with you, some of their most previous releases, like the Bee, the Queen of Time is the name of the album, but and then Halo, which is their newest album, definitely a different pace than this album. Similar, but it definitely challenges you even more musically. I think this one is the most straight across the board. Here, we're going to give you a memorable chorus, and we're going to give you some memorable melodies. We're going to give you some memorable kinds of drum beats, and we're going to throw them at you and you're just going to, you're just going to either absorb it or it's going to not stick with you. And, it all depends on the listener.
And so far, this has stuck with me, buddy. Don't worry.
Hey, absolutely.
Yes.
Good deal.
Big one.
We got one.
All right, let's go over to the Wikipedia page for a little bit. Let's talk about this album for a little bit. Now, I'm just finding this out now. This was their 9th album too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's cray, bro. Oh my god.
Yeah, in my opinion, their first 4 albums, they're good stuff. But I'll be honest with you, I could take them or leave them. And I know if there's like a random fan clicking onto this from like the Amophis fan club, you know what I mean? Like he's just searching for Amophis reviews and he's like, oh, this is interesting. I'll check this out. And he hears me say that like their first 4 albums are take or leave. He probably wants my personal address. All right. So my personal address is no. Don't at me. Exactly. Don't try to kill me. Look, I'll be honest with you. The vocals who came in during the Eclipse album, like Amorphis' 2 previous albums, Eclipse, Silent Waters, 2 amazing albums, is where he came in. And this guy, his voice is so rich. It's almost like if Josh Groban and like, I don't know, like freaking one of the best metal, singers, screamers kind of like fused together. And he just has a rich voice. Melody, deep, kind of voice, and paired with the kind of a higher melody, higher guitar, pitched kind of riffs. The two kind of like almost like work perfectly alongside each other. So, yeah, definitely, this is one of the better albums of their career. Yeah,
and I dug it completely. Let's go, man.
Let's go.
That's why you're here, Mike. That's why you're here. We're gonna be talking about it all day. No,
absolutely.
But I gotta say, for a first time listener, and don't get me wrong. My definition of quote unquote rock music is guitar, drums, bass, and vocals. That can mean anything. But when it comes to metal, I don't really dig in too deep to it because I mean, truth be told, number one, I'm like a little bit nervous. I'm like, because I'm not sure if I'm gonna like what I hear because I like what I hear from like Metallica, Slipknot, Anthrax, stuff like that. But when I go into like unknown metal territories like death metal or power metal, I'm like, I have this preconceived notion of like how it is, and I'm like, oh god, what am I in for? And when you first said this to me, I was like, oh no, I'm in for something special. Here goes everything I've ever known. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I gotta admit though, this was full disclosure. 11 songs, 12 songs, whatever it is. We'll look it up in a second. But this album was great. It was so good. Like, I mean, first exposure to death metal for me in general. I mean, I don't listen to it that often, but this one was great. I loved just the different sounds of it. Like I don't know any of their albums, Mike, but I gotta tell you, you're right though. He does sound like a Josh Groban meets like Corey Taylor. You know
right.
what I mean?
Right.
Like literally, it's Josh Groban meets Corey Taylor from Finland. So
absolutely, and I mean, and it's amazing because as my journey through, I started with Silent Waters. That was the first album I ever listened to Amorphis, and I was in love with the band at the moment I heard them. And I kind of I didn't go backward, I went forward. So it's like Silent Waters, then I like jumped over, I think the next actually, what's funny is I listened to that album and then I kind of missed the next couple albums because these were the days where I was getting into some hardcore like breakdowns, like Killswitch Engage and all that kind of stuff, and Hatebreed and all the heavier kind of hardcore stuff. And I kind of like never continued. Tales from the Thousand Lakes actually was like the first time, but that was not because I really loved it. It was because I appreciated the melodies that and that is the key to this whole thing. these guys are from Finland, so they tend to carry with them very ancient kind of melodies that I think a lot of people from Finland who grow up there and experience the culture and are raised musically in their kind of, just kind of the history of the country, bring those melodies and into the music that they have come to make. And there's another band, they're called the Poets of the Fall. They're also from Finland, and they're kind of acquainted with Amophis. You can hear those kinds of melodies even in their music. It's actually kind of amazing because I think they're a major influence on Amophis, because Poets of the Fall is a little bit of an older band. I think you'd actually, I'm not gonna have to throw another album at you possibly here in the future. I mean, this is just we've opened the gates.
Floodgates are open.
We're literally going. We're getting into the ship, and we're gonna sail towards some melodic death metal. And and my whole strategy is to gently ease somebody in by picking an album like this, which is much more focused on melodies and clean vocals, and at times they shifted into the melodic death metal sound that they are today. But this and there's a couple other albums that they have, I'd say 3 total albums, that to the listener who's not ready for a whole lot of melodic death metal, these are the albums that are literally going to inject that kind of beautiful sound, but not blow you away with, like, if Cookie Monster comes out and you're like, oh god, like you're just like, the hell was that? And you're just like, I wasn't ready for, like, Satan himself. No, it's not Satan, guys.
Where's Cookie Monster? Oh, I'm so hungry.
It's like, like, some people aren't ready for that. So this album, it's very structured, where it's like everything's clean, and then the hard vocals hit, but then the cleans come back shortly after, and they write a song the way someone should write a song, where the different voices are joining together, not just like I'm writing you an 80-20, like 20% chorus and like a structured song to an 80% just like obliterate your face with just like growling and stuff and blast beats and all the other stuff that's in typical death metal. That progressive metal is a very high on their list of things to bring to the table. And progressive metal, I mean, right up there with like Yes, Rush, all the Dream Theater, all of the greats of the progressive metal. They've perfectly melded together a bunch of different sounds so that you don't completely alienate the person listening and make them not be a purist, or I have to be only into this kind of sound or that kind of sound.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I gotta say, and I'm really glad. Truthfully, I'm glad. At first, I was like, all right, Mike, what is he thinking? he knows me well enough. What? No, but no. But going into this, I mean, you're right though. I mean, the different sounds. I was surprised. I was surprised that for melodic death metal and power metal and heavy metal, I heard piano. I heard different melodies. I really enjoyed what I heard quite a bit as a first time listener to Amophis in general. And I really like, and you're making me want to go delve into more albums now, man. Good for you. I'm proud of you, Mike. Proud.
Yes, that's it. Don't worry, sir. There is much more to come. Stay tuned, everybody. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for more.
Yeah, and listen along. Like those who are listening, if you're unfamiliar with them and you're just kind of, this may be something that you get into. It may be something that you're going to take time to warm up to. Yeah, that's okay. You know what I mean? As we are in life, we little by little begin to kind of become amorphous. We change into we kind of meld into different sounds. So I mean,
we can morph into something special.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. And I mean, I'm not gonna say somebody that's not here tonight, he was not the hugest fan of that album. I don't know who I'm talking about. It's not Kyle, but no, but Kyle, he didn't hate it, but I think he definitely felt it was like middle to. I was asking him for the review and he couldn't find it. Kyle, I demand you find that review and post it in the comment section. I don't know, but
Yes,
yeah,
we'll drop it in the comment section below. Don't worry.
I can remember he was somewhere sitting like in the kind of like out of all the songs, there's probably 2 or 3 that he thought were like real good songs, and then I think he was lost on to like a 6 to whatever on the rest. And like, hey, that's the beauty of different opinions and voices. It's it's not everyone's cup of tea.
Yep.
Kyle's the kind of person who's like, he's offset by something. Like for me, I'm the kind of person that like I hear something that doesn't sit well with me, and I'm bothered by it to a degree, but I'll, as long as the song structure's there, there's something memorable about it. It sits with me, and it follow, like I take something away, and like at the end I'm like hooked by like what I heard, and I'm good. Like I begin to kind of adapt to the sound that I'm listening to, but like he's definitely the kind of guy that has a checklist, and if that checklist is not checked, he's kind of like, this is taking off major points. You know what I mean? So I mean, hey, that's it, man. That's okay. That's okay. That's everybody. I think I'll be honest with you, that's the bigger music group in the United States in general, is that type of kind of a I guess critique of music. I'll show my dad something, and as soon as there's harsh vocals in it, he shuts it off. It's almost like he has like PTSD from like my days of playing heavy metal as a kid and scaring him. Then it's almost like he goes into like just shock, and it's just like, I can't listen to it again, like shut it off. And I'm like, no, think about like you're watching a play, like Phantom of the Opera, right? Or like you're watching like any kind of play where there's like villain of the movie shows up.
Yep.
That's the harsh vocals in the song. It's like the separate voices, like the beast versus the angel. You know what I mean? Like you're listening to a live action play in a lot of ways, where you have different voices assuming different roles in the song.
Yep.
And you know what I mean? Like, and that's, you have to kind of view it that way. You can't view it as like, this has got to be this way, or else I'm going to shut this off because it's just not what I usually listen to. I don't agree with it. It's art. It takes many forms, so it's tough for a lot of listeners.
This is why we have you here. There's no doubt,
man. You got it.
Let's get down to the track listing now, shall we? Let's talk about some albums. And I was 10. I went through all 12 because when I listened to it all the way through from start to finish, which I highly recommend people do in general, because if you don't listen to an album, this is just an aside note. If you don't listen to an album from start to finish, you only know like the hit singles or what's popular on Spotify, whatever.
Right.
I'm a firm believer in just like in the whole experience of an album. If you listen to the whole album from start to finish, you'll get a different perspective than just listening to track 3 or 5. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep. 100%.
Standout tracks for me were Silver Bride, truthfully, My Son, and what was it? Skyforger, the title track. Because I've said this before, I'll say it again. Title tracks for me just work. It doesn't matter what the album is, unless it's Maroon 5's Jordy and there was a song called Jordy. Well, that might have been bad. And, no bueno there. Plug for our last week's show. But yeah, this is, and I love how the lyrics are all written by one guy, which I can't pronounce his name. I'm not sure if you could, but
well, can you go to the band like the lineup, because I'm trying to remember the lead singer's name, and I think it's Jen Joutsen. It might be let's see. Members. Yeah.
Right, there you go.
Okay, so the old singer was let me see. Oh, usually it says former members. Former members, bass, drums, keyboards, lead vocals. Yeah, they went through the lead vocals. They went through like pretty much a bunch of, before they found Tommy. I think that's him at backing vocals. No. Tommy Joutsen, that's his name. There's another Tommy in the band, which is throwing me off. Tommy Joutsen, he is the real deal. And it's interesting because, like you were saying, all the lyrics are written by a different guy. They're written by I think that's the other guy.
The guy's name is Pekka.
Pekka. Yeah.
Yeah.
whatever the hell that is. Like, I ain't gonna
We're just gonna call you Pekka.
which I like to call people sometimes when I get upset at them, but that's a different type of word. So yeah, like but yeah, like no, that guy writes all the lyrics, and that's interesting because I always thought Tommy Judson did. But the music, yeah, it's mostly written by, like people in the guitarists and the bassists in the band. The lead singer is he's just lending his talents to the album. So for me, standout tracks are Sampo and From the Heaven of My Heart and Sky's Mine. Those three tracks right there, I mean, punch me in the face, like chorus that just like gets stuck in your head all day. Melodies, even lyrics. Okay, so Kyle, you and I all talked about lyrics that we relate to, lyrics that we can kind of find some kind of relevancy to ourselves or in general. That's something in this I would expect you guys to get lost on, because a lot of these all their albums are all based on folklore from Finland. So you'll have a song about a god or an ancient river, or like in their new album it's about like different just different stories from Finnish folklore. And it's not something everyone like gets into, but what's beautiful about the songs is there's like lyrics in it that you can relate to, that they just repeat, you know what I mean? And like anybody could be kind of take something away. Sure, it's going to talk about something like it'll mention something about a king, or it'll mention something about you know some kind of folklore thing, but there's a ton of lyrics that you can just listen to and kind of hear and relate to, and make you think of something, paint a picture. So yeah, those are my standout tracks. Believe it or not, if we're gonna go stand out and stand down tracks, Skyforger really wasn't. I know, let that mouth dangle open, because
Oh my God.
I know it's one of those those songs that I heard. Let me see. Yeah, it's right at the bottom. Like, it's literally, I would
Oh.
say, I know it. I'm not going to fight this.
Oh
I'm
no.
merely just going to say, that's one of the few songs that I actually, I felt this album was so front loaded. It was not even funny. Like Sampo, Silver Bride, from the Heaven of My Heart, Sky Is Mine, and My Son and Highest Star right there, were like, to me, so front loaded. Obviously it's most of the album if you don't include the rest of the bonus tracks, but those songs were so good that everything else that, in my opinion, that came after wasn't holding a candle to those songs. And it was almost like they expended the most of their like creativity, power, and just memorable writing into those songs. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's funny you say Skyforger, because usually I am a track guy, like the title of the album, but
Oh no.
I know it. I had to
It
say
was bound to happen.
it. Yep, it was bound to happen. We ruined the streak.
Oh no.
But yeah.
But yeah, I mean, those are your standout track and your stand down tracks too, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, Skyforger, and I think um, probably Course of Fate, more so than From the Earth I Rose. And then, I mean, yeah, the last two tracks are great. Um, you know, but yeah, those are, I mean, yeah, that's where I kind of like, I noticed the kind of memorable choruses and the overall um kind of structure seemed like they were taking a different road in those songs, that I think, which is funny because the hello I can't even say that. I'm gonna call him Holo, like
Hello.
YOLO Holo. Yeah, I mean, Highest Star is a great song, but like he did he did Silver Bride too. It's good, a great song too. Yeah. And there was two albums, live videos at the end of the playlist I sent you. Did you end up seeing those?
Yep. I saw those.
Yeah. So, and they have some of the greatest videos. And I'm excited to have you listen to some more stuff and see if, this is what, like if I were to say on the scale of 10, this is coming into like some exposure of melodic death metal. This is probably like somewhere in the 3-4 range of out of 10 of like what melodic death metal offers.
Okay.
It's definitely like if it were a pie, it would be split into 8 slices of different styles, melodic death metal, power metal, folk metal, progressive rock metal, it's got a perfect distribution of all of those styles. Whereas that's not always the case with the Amophis sound. They've always, in my opinion, have always been leaning towards the the more heavier sounds, and this was a rare album. I mean, with a couple of the others that stayed in that, but more recent, their last 2 albums have been heavier stuff, but still amazing choruses, amazing clean vocals. Always, since he's joined the band, since Tommy's joined the band, nothing but beautiful vocals, beautiful choruses, rich depth of melody, more melody than ever in their history of their sound when he joined the band. I don't know what it was. It's just like, I think they decided they could bring out the emphasis on the melody because of his dynamic kind of growls and his depth of vocal, versus the other guy was more just kind of like a real 1-gear growl, melodic death metal kind of guy. And they, this guy brought so much more dynamic. So
yeah, I'm not familiar with that, of course, because I'd have to listen to more albums by them and whatnot. But I could definitely. It's funny that you said the combination before of Josh Groban meets like Corey Taylor.
Yeah, 100%.
And if you listen to this album, that's kind of what it is. It's like it's very melodic. It's very powerful voice, but at the same time, it's a very metal voice, but it's very like not soothing. I don't want to say soothing, but it's like,
no, soothing's a great word. Yeah.
Okay. So it's like a soothing death metal voice, if you know what I mean. So
yeah, very soothing. It's very like, it's hard to like pinpoint like what his voice, just like the richness of it. It's just the guy, he's definitely opened the doors for the band to kind of for so many different directions, and be it his growls are so deep.
Yep.
His singing is so rich, like, and it's kind of cool on their, it was not their newest album, but their second to newest album, they had female vocal join him side by side. Yeah, one of the tracks, which was really cool to hear. And they've done some experimentation of like, with him and having him kind of sing a little bit different style, higher, whatever. Like, so it's always interesting to have a vocalist who can bring something to the table rather than just be steady note, just stays in his lane. He kind of opens up those doors. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's really something fascinating if you think about it. Like if you actually go the route of like you said, like a Josh Groban or even like a Michael Bublé's like soothing voice kind of thing meets heavy metal, which it's really something special. I mean, it's something that's a little, I mean, I wouldn't say it's too common either for like something like that now.
Right. No, definitely not. It's there are a couple bands out there, they started off doing doom metal, very slow, depressing, kind of like, I would say, very emotional at times, but like not so much emotional, but just kind of like, I don't know, just brought with it a feeling of just like, they're from Finland, so everything's freaking cold up there. You know what I mean? Yeah. So every time when you listen to the album, you could almost hear the cold landscape. You know what I mean? Like the kind of the melodies they were bringing, kind of a very kind of reminiscent of Finland, and and definitely you don't hear too many bands up, but bands in the gothic metal kind of genre have vocalists who have deeper voices. Like we'll even say a band I would say who influenced a lot of the bands in like the gothic metal and all that is like Billy Idol. I mean, very kind of like that deep voice, like this, I'm singing like that, you know, like you can kind of see where like this guy's style kind of pieces together from those kinds of you know, those types of vocalists. And
Yeah.
he never ventures into the high vocals like power metal, but he ventures into kind of definitely like folk, you know, like the folk kind of sing along kind of stuff. And yeah, it definitely a lot of folk influences on this.
Yeah, I can definitely hear. I mean, now that you bring it up more, like the folk influence on the album is very, very. It's very, very much there too. And I didn't realize how much it was there until I listened to it as well. And then the more we talk about it, I was like, wow, that's actually very. It's interesting how they're putting like folk like styles into metal. I mean, I've never really heard of something like that before, which is an eye opener for me. So,
right, exactly, and it's like, yeah, it's not something a lot of people are accustomed with, because a lot of the times folk metal is a problem with everybody, and I always said this before. Everybody loves something so much that they want to beat you in the face with it. So like, you know, you go and listen to a band who's like folk metal, and it's just like everything sounds like an Irish jig. You know what I mean? Everything sounds like and like there's people out there who are having the time of their life dancing away, but then there's people out there who are like, okay, this is too much for me. Like, I'm not into this. Well, like Amorphous will bring that kind of folk sound to some degree, but then on top of that, they'll layer some layers of sound, different influences and different kinds of sounds. They just kind of layer upon layer. And at one point, you're like, I can get down with this. It sounds like the first song, Sampo, has a very kind of like, I wouldn't say Black Sabbath kind of sound to it, but like the typical kind of like you know, just that like 70s, if you know, kind of like rock sound to it, like yeah, with just like with Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden, you know, whatever. And people can listen to that and hear the kind of stuff they're bringing along and not be beaten them to death with the death metal part or the folk part or the power metal part, or you know, they just perfectly layer it in like the in just a mixture that the average audience can come to it and go, okay, like this isn't too bad. Like they're not screaming all the time, but they're not also they're not just not being heavy. They're being heavy too, you know.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
So it's definitely a good mixture.
I agree too. And you know what? I gotta say, the part that's, and I mentioned this briefly, but the part that surprised me the most was because going into it, I was like, all right, my initial thought was like, I'm probably gonna hear a lot of screaming, a lot of like heavy metal mush kind of thing, like what I would think that I would normally hear. Turns out I was dead wrong. Which I was very thoroughly happy with. Some of like the different, I talked about this briefly, but like the piano parts were great. That's the part that I would, when you were saying like the cold, that's the part I could feel like the cold part, you know what I mean? Whereas like I guess the heat part would be like the harder guitar stuff, but I feel like this would be like the actual like the piano part would be like to me, like the imagery in my head was like it's gonna be cool with the piano because it's Finland, and the heat's gonna be the guitar part. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's the way I at least interpreted it. So
oh, that's perfect. I saw him live, and I've only seen him live once, which I'm like disappointed that I've only seen him once, because like I think I've had opportunities in the past, but just either something was going on, or I knew about them. I just never really like delve into the way I have, and like I've always known about them, but in the last, like I would say, you know, 7 or 8 years, I finally was able to get every single album that they have, and I saw them live with a bunch of other like kind of death metal bands and stuff, and oh man, it's just amazing, all the different musicianship, you know, musicians and the musicianship that they bring to the table, and like, you know, like you said, the piano, the the bass is there. Just
Yep.
like the orchestra kind of they'll program kind of keyboards that have the orchestra, but like they'll actually write the orchestra's parts in for the album. They'll record them, live, but they'll play when they play them on stage. They're using a keyboardist who kind of has like the preset kind of orchestra sounds they need to do during the album, more so for their new stuff than maybe this one. But I mean, it's just amazing live show. One of the best, and although I wasn't a huge fan of their newest album, Halo, which maybe we have to delve into that just to be critical on it, but it was very boring to me. Unfortunately, it was boring. It couldn't even touch this album with a 10-foot stick and even come close to it. Yeah, and it's that big of a difference. That's scary because their previous two albums, The Queen of Time and let's see, The Queen of Time and I think it was the Red City or the Red my freaking brain. Under the Red Cloud, that's what it was. Those albums were amazing. They may not be everyone's cup of tea. Now, once again, as I was saying before, if this album was like a 3 or 4 on the melodic death metal introduction with all the other voices, the folk metal and whatever, I would say their other two albums, Queen of Time, Under the Red Cloud, are definitely more higher on the melodic death metal, higher on the folklore, and less on like some of the progressive elements that I think were in their previous work. But like still amazing albums, and I always recommend it to everyone. But I was saying to you before, The Circle and The Beginning of Times probably would be 2 more albums that I think you might be more like it's easier listening versus like some of the stuff that's in those other albums. But Halo was just a big disappointment, and it came out this year, so that would have been the proper album to throw you into, just be relevant to today's music. But I just said, you know what, I'm gonna go back to the best album they've ever written, and then I mean, it's probably the best album they've written, but I'll be honest with you, The Queen of Time is right up there, like on neck and neck with it. It's just it's definitely it's got to be right alongside it. But this is I would say when you're like, someone can write a song that's artistic and it has lots of creativity and it brings lots of different cool vibes along with it. But when you write a song and you actually write it good, you have the perfect amount of different structures in it, and everything comes back together and it never gets boring, and you can replay it over and over again. That's a special thing versus just, oh, this is a cool concept album that had lots of cool sounds in it, but none of it really stuck in my head and like I don't remember it. It's got to leave us a lasting impression on you. So that's what this album does for sure.
It definitely did it for me, man. I'm telling you right now.
Awesome. It was number 1 in Finland, apparently. Or maybe the release, the single.
The single Silver Bride hit number. Let's look at some chart stuff. Hold on.
Yeah.
Around in different parts of Europe, in Austria, Finland, and Sweden, and Switzerland, I want to say.
That's true.
And Finland it charted number 1. In Austria, not Australia, number 48. Sorry. And the Swiss albums started number 74, but outside of the world, like the rest of the UK, Europe,
unknown,
even the US, it's a complete unknown. Because when you said to me, let's do Amophis, I'm like, wait a second, what are you talking about?
Who?
The who? What? What? Yeah. Jordy? What's going on?
Jordy. And that's the thing I think I'm trying to shed the light with this album is there's so many albums, so much music from other countries where these guys have been playing instruments since they were like 4 years old, forced to play. They're actually forced to learn English at like I think it was like 4, 5, or 6. I don't remember. And they
really
all must. Yeah, I was actually talking to someone from Finland recently, and also talking to them about you have to take music. I mean, all these people become masters at musicianship, like for the most part, because it's something that's ingrained in their childhood and whatever. And so all these people are pumping out this amazing music, and a lot of it test the waters of, there's obviously on the regular charts, there's regular Finnish bands who are just traditional sounding or just rock sounding, like Poets of the Fall. They're pretty straightforward kind of, like music that everyone can like, but there's a bunch of different music artists there who challenge the progressive side of music, and it's not for everyone. It definitely takes some adaptation. You have to adapt to the sound, but once you get on and you adapt to it, and you start tuning in and hearing all the different layers, you become just addicted to it, and you want to hear more and keep pushing that bar level. So
you become hooked.
You become an addict.
Yes, a metal addict.
Yes.
Bleed metal.
And Metal Storm was the magazine I was thinking of, not Metal.
Okay.
Metal Storm gave it the best heavy metal album of 2009, which is pretty awesome because I went down their list and there's some amazing albums in there for each year, and to get that honor for the whole year 2009 for that album is fantastic.
That's crazy, dude.
It's so apparent. Yeah.
And this just goes to show you. I mean, this shows you that there are. I'm really glad that we talked about this album, really, now that I think about it, because what we're doing here, at least in the United States, we're exposing the people who listen to us and watch us and whatever. They can be exposed to other forms of, metal or whatever, or any other artists or any other bands as well. That this is why we have you here, because you can help expose
Yes.
the other artists to the other. Like, I had never heard of Amophis until Mike's like, all right, we're gonna do this album. It's gonna be really good. Don't worry about it. You'll like it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, right. And I mean, I love the artwork. I love the vibe of the song. Like you said, there's pianos in there. There's soaring choruses. There's beautiful guitar melodies. The songs are not like you don't go from like one extreme to the other. Like, although there are some parts where they just drop down and do the guttural vocals and everything like that, and they just kind of punch you in the face with that. But it's never overused. It's never unlistenable and just over the top. It's a good combination of like, hey, we're gonna bring in some harsh vocals, but they're gonna go away real quick back to cleans, and then the harsh vocals may come in again at another time, but they emphasize the music. They're not over there just like, this is all you're gonna hear. They're like, the song is coming to this part, and here comes the harsh vocals, and then the soaring choruses come back in, and then end with that harsh vocal to like bring it all together. And sometimes they even layer the harsh vocals underneath the singing, which is, I love when bands do that, like when they kind of have the harsh vocals and the cleans over top of them. Dude, who can go wrong with that, bro?
No one can go wrong with it. No one can. No one.
Absolutely. So yeah,
is that all we had to say on the album, or do we cover all bases?
We just got to go over our rating of the album, like what you gave it for a rating, and then like I think we're we've said all we can say. It kind of just, it says it for itself. Listen to the album, hear all those awesome choruses and just musicianship, and it really ties everything together and then just showcases the talent of the band and the songwriters, and what they bring, and they don't have 40,000 writers on their album like Jordy. You know what I mean? They don't have like
exactly.
They do this all themselves, man, and and it's amazing because you think about it, these guys are writing orchestras, man. They're doing what people did back in the day, like, who are geniuses. They're doing that, and they're orchestrating that all themselves. Like, at least somebody in the band is. And I mean, if you asked one of these rock guys in the American industry to do that, they would literally have no freaking clue. And that's the thing, they don't have interest in this kind of stuff because it's a little harder to digest. It requires you to pay more attention and hear complexities and multiple layers of sound. It's not just like a simple guitar riff, drum beat, and a guy singing over it. It's like layers of guitars and pianos and orchestras and all kinds of different. I mean, you'd ask one of these guys to do that, and they would just be like, I have no freaking clue. what to do. Like, you know, I have no experience in anything musically except that one craft that they've mastered, you know?
Exactly.
So, yeah. So,
Let's jump over to our rating, shall we?
absolutely.
All right,
Absolutely.
Mike, you go first.
I'll go for, I mean, it's clear here. It's absolutely clear. Now I'm going to surprise some people and say it's not a 10 out of 10. It is so close.
What?
I know. It's so close to being a 10 out of 10. It's a 4.5 out of 5 or a 9 out of 10. Yeah, some of the last songs kind of to me, you know what? My first method, or my first my way of determining if a song is going to score low is that if I stop paying attention at some point and kind of when the part that I like comes back on, I'm like, oh yeah, cool. And then like they go back into their other stuff and I'm just like I begin to like think about, what am I gonna eat for dinner tomorrow? Should I get some, should I stop at the grocery store? Oh, that's right. Oh, they're playing that part I like again. And that's how some of the last couple songs I felt in the album was just kind of like, I liked this. It was the Amophis sound. It was the Finnish sound. It made me feel like it was the Finnish melodic death metal band, but it didn't stick in my brain like those freaking first like 6-7 songs did. So yeah, 4.5 out of 5 all day. You would think Majestic Beast, the song it would score higher for me. It was a great song, but it starts off heavy. And I think the heaviness is great and all, but it just feels a little bit like not as good as the other songs, but it's still great. Still great. Like it's a 8.5 out of 10. Like that's what I gave it. You know, it had some good moments and great moments, but it just wasn't able to hit those home runs like those other songs with those freaking melodies that they were bringing. So yeah, that's where I sit on it.
So you're at a, what'd you say? Like a 9 out of 10 or 4.5 out of 5?
Right. Yep.
All right. So here's the dealio, Home Slice. This album sucks. No, I'm just kidding. I am kidding. That is the farthest thing. That is the farthest thing. No.
Absolutely.
But honestly, I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10, or a 4 out of 5? Is that right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, 4 and 5.
I'm giving it that high only because I would have gone higher had I known some of their stuff prior, because like, yeah, I can't wait for the new Amophis record or whatever, right? But like, you know, really, truthfully, this is a great progressive metal album, folk metal. It's a really just overall incredible album that no one in the US has probably ever heard of, which is a shame because you should get on it. And I'm giving it that high of a rating. Of an 8, what is it? 8 out of 10? 8.5. Right?
Yeah, 4 out of 5, or 8 out of 10. Yeah, yep.
Yeah, I'm giving it 8 out of 10 because this album it was an eye opener for me of how death metal can be, not just like screaming vocals, but a different side of it, which I'd never really truly been exposed to until Mike told me to listen to this so we could do the podcast. Which was a great choice. But a solid 8 out of 10 for me. If you have not listened to this album, which by the signs of Spotify tell me that not a lot of people listen to it. It's great. It's so good. Oh my God.
Yeah, and I'm hoping we can move on to some of their other stuff. You know, they have stuff that's going to superly challenge you, and then they have other stuff that's going to it's going to be straightforward, I think, like enjoyable by somebody who loves, like you said, rock with bass guitars and you know, drums and just vocals like that are just memorable. You're gonna love that. And there's gonna be some other albums, they're gonna just bring something a little more sinister to the game, and it may be too much for you, but you know what, with every listen, with every pass by, you're gonna take away something, and you may grow into being, you know what, I didn't like it at first, but I like it now. It's definitely, this album is a one listen through. You know you love it or you know you hate it. Some of their other works are 4, 5, 6 pass bys before you go, man, I really like that. I just needed to like warm up to it, you know.
Definitely. I think this is an all around great listen, no matter what. And the fact that Mike is so musically knowledgeable, even more than me and Kyle combined, probably.
Hey,
But
man, I'm the old head, man. I'm almost like I'm turning freaking 39 here, like literally in a month and change. So like
oh my
if I
God.
haven't learned if I haven't learned something about music, then I should quit and give up the game. So
Are you
you know.
telling me you're almost 40?
Dude, don't even say that word. Don't I will
Sorry, no,
reach through
I
the
don't mean to
screen.
go there. I don't mean to go there, but I thought you were like 30. What's going on, man?
Yeah, I see that. I think that too, man. It was like I'm still in my 30-year-old body, but my brain is 40. Or the other way around.
The other way around.
Yeah, the other way around. See, I'm so old I can't even remember how to properly say that. But
Oh man, oh man. Well,
yeah,
listen,
man.
a solid. Mike gave this album. You said 9.5 out of 10, right?
The 4.5 out of 5, 9 out of 10. Yep.
So 9 out of 10 for Mike and 8 out of 10 for me. That's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you so much for watching, listening. However, you enjoyed us tonight. If you like what you've heard and seen here, follow us on all your podcast formats and subscribe to us on YouTube. We do this every Monday night, weeknights. And so tune in for next week. Thanks, Mike, for getting this. This is a great one for Mike, that Mike did for us. Thank you, Mike, for sticking out for this one, man.
No problem, man. Anytime.
All right. But thank you for listening and watching, however you enjoyed us. And we will see you guys next week for another episode of Career Retrospectives with Kyle back, hopefully. Hopefully he will. Who knows?
Yeah, his empty spot will be filled. Yes, we miss you, Kyle.
Kyle is right here in my hand, but it's blurred out.
Yeah. See, what's behind this, Kyle? What's behind this now? He can't attack me. He can't defend himself. I have free reign to launch insults at him.
We have way too much fun here, but that's okay. But anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching, listening. You guys are awesome. So stay safe and take